Hey guys, Lucas from iExplore here. Today we're exploring Asakusa, which is this area behind me here, and we're doing it a little bit differently than usual. We're going to shoot this all in monochrome. That means the video camera's in monochrome, my camera's in monochrome. We're going to do it all in black and white, and that's because one of you guys, either on Patreon or YouTube, I don't remember which, suggested this to us, and I think it's a great idea. It's going to be something a little bit different, and also talk about some other topics kind of related to this that are on my mind. But first, I just want to also point out that we do have a map of Tokyo photo spots that we've been, creating and promoting in the past. We kind of stopped promoting it because it was not relevant for a while because nobody could travel to Japan. But now that the borders are open and you can travel, do please check it out. Link in the description below. And of course, also please consider taking a workshop with us if you can make it to Japan in the near future. All right, let's get on to the video.
iExplore.
So we're going to get started. Now, one thing I want to note, I've set the camera to monochrome, right? There is like a picture setting in the Nikon, but I've also set it, which is something I usually don't do, but I've set it to also shoot JPEGs because I'm shooting in RAW, which means I could make these photos color again later if I want. But I am shooting them now in monochrome, and I will show the JPEGs straight from the camera as they are. That's why I put the JPEG mode on. Also, something interesting I want to note right away, this didn't really occur to me because I'm always shooting in color and I always keep the color profile on like a pretty flat one. It's called neutral in the Nikon. Because I'm shooting in RAW, I'm going to edit it later anyway, so I don't care so much about the colors right there. But I realized that because this is a mirrorless, it's in monochrome in the viewfinder, which is interesting. That's something different, that even if I was shooting on black and white film, I wouldn't see. Where's the camera? Happens all the time. So yeah, even if I was shooting on black and white film on an old film camera, I would still see the world in color. So it's kind of peculiar to be able to shoot in black and white and see it in black and white right away. Now I'm hanging around the mon here, the Kaminari mon as it's called, because I love the light in here. And it looks great in color, but the contrast is also fantastic with the light. Yeah, there's nobody really cool coming. I want like a lady in a kimono. There's a lot of kimono people, but they're not actually walking through there. So, All right, probably gonna give up. Let's give up. Let's keep going. We're gonna keep going in there. Don't need to stay here all day shooting the same thing. And it's cool, interesting lady. Right when I gave up, somebody kind of cool came, but oh well. So, let's talk a little bit about black and white photography, because I don't usually do black and white photography. Those of you who follow this channel or follow my work in the past, you know that I almost never do black and white. I always shoot in color, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is that the world is in color. I like the fact that it's in color. I don't really, I like looking at black and white photography when I see other people's work. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. It looks great, black and white. But I just have this kind of like feeling like I don't want to create such photos, right? So I'm doing it today as a bit of a challenge, right? Because it's something different, something fun. But of course, I've played around with black and white photography before, so it's not like this is totally alien to me or anything like that. But the thing that jumps out at me about it, especially, by the way, having it live in the viewfinder on the mirrorless camera, it's very interesting because it allows me to ignore a lot of the things that normally I'm paying attention to. In other words, colors, right? It really kind of simplifies the situation. Actually, here's maybe a nice scene, this little kimono couple. Oh, but the light is not great. Oh, whatever, that wasn't that good. Not great lighting. But there is great lighting right here, so maybe we'll linger here for a minute. Yeah, let's try over here. Oh yeah, this is good. So like, you see, in terms of colors, this scene to me right here is really convoluted. There's a lot going on. It's complicated, it's just like kind of messy. There is a general color tone to it, which you can't see because we're shooting the video in black and white. But there's a lot of reds in this scene, a lot of warm tones, but then suddenly there's like a blue, right? This lady walking by is wearing blue. But I don't see any of that. We don't see that when shooting in black and white. And so it's interesting that I can just ignore it and focus on the actual scenery and the action. So in that sense, my initial feeling here is that shooting in monochrome is very... Arigato. Oh, いいですか? みんな。ありがとう。かわいい。ありがとう。Yeah, so the age-old issue that people are happy to pose, but I don't want them to pose. But that's okay. I already got some shots before that, so it was fine. So anyway, it just simplifies things, and I don't have to focus as much on the colors, which allows me to shoot more freely in a way. in general, I think like photography, the way I think about it is, and this is like why we like prime lenses, why I like prime lenses, I think a lot of photographers like prime lenses, is that it removes some of the complexity of the situation. Let's get out of the Nakamisa. Let's go on the side street a little bit. It's a little too crazy over here. I think we can move over to the passage here on the side. Yeah, let's go this way, over here. So yeah, removing some of the complexity helps. And by using a prime lens, that removes one complexity where I don't have to zoom in and out. I don't have to think about exactly my framing in that regard. I just have to think about my positioning. And by the way, you see like this kind of scene, although it's simpler, I feel there's less. I like the colors. And the black and white version is not that interesting. So it's kind of peculiar that because of the simplification of the scene, by removing the colors, or flattening them in a sense to one dimension, grayscale, it allows me to focus more on just kind of what's happening and kind of ignore like situations where earlier I might not have shot a photo because, okay, there's this nasty color there that doesn't work with the overall colors of the scene, so I'm gonna, like, maybe I'll shoot it, but I'm not gonna be happy with this. But now I'm like, yeah, this is great, I'm gonna shoot it. Monochrome looks great. But then there's a kind of counterpoint. That wall over there, I mean, that wasn't that interesting anyway, to be honest, but I did like the colors, but when I saw it in monochrome, it really just didn't do anything for me at all. The texture on its own without the colors didn't really work. So yeah, that's the peculiarity of black and white for me. Like in some ways it's easier, and then in other ways it's kind of harder, right? Because you know, you don't see the world in black and white. And so perhaps that's why I've always gravitated towards color, because it's just how I see the world. But anyway, it's fun. I was looking forward to doing this video because I thought, I'm not gonna go out and shoot black and white like this on my own. I did a long time ago. Like I said, I've experimented with this, and in those cases I also set the camera to monochrome, but I was using an SLR. I was using a D3 probably when I tried this last. And you know, so you can see, let's go back on the middle here. So you can't see live the colors. So I was still like basically shooting in color, perceiving the world in color, then just changing it to black and white later, essentially, right, in post, and then seeing it on the screen if I could review the photos. Let's shoot into the sun here and see how that looks. Some extreme contrast. Yeah, if people walk by, that'll be kind of cool, especially if they're tall enough to block the sun from this angle. Let's check the street over here before we head in deeper into the temple. Well, actually, the light right here is very nice too. Gorgeous light today. I mean, it's a beautiful sunny day, and it's kind of, you know, early winter, so you get a lot of really nicely contrasting light, long shadows, because even though it's like 2:30 p.m. or something like that, it feels like the sun's already setting because the days are kind of short. Yeah, but again, I want somebody really interesting here. I don't know. These guys were cool, but then the other guy came, guy in a hat. And you see, like I can already feel myself when I look through the viewfinder being much less picky about the people. Because when I'm normally looking, I'm like, okay, well, if the color doesn't match or, you know, something, then I don't want to shoot it. But now it's like, whatever, anybody's fine as long as they look interesting in general. There's also the fact that like this awning thing here is very cute. There's a lot of nice colors to it, but we're just going to ignore them because, you know, I have to. So yeah, like I was saying, black and white kind of comes with this baggage of sort of meaning to people, and certainly does to me. And that's also one reason why I kind of shy away from it generally, because it sort of like, it's like a decision. Like you have to make a choice to remove the colors, because the real world has colors, right? So that's to me natural. And then black and white is very much kind of an unnatural way to portray the world, right? It doesn't look that way, to me at least, right? It is in color. So that's another reason why I shy away from it. I try to go for reality in my photos, for real. I'm gonna shoot this old house here on the side. So there's all these cars parked and stuff, but let's just see how this old house looks in this old-timey photography style. Hopefully without the car there. Let's see, can I frame it out? Yeah, I can make it work. It's not the best frame, but it kind of works. All right, what else can we shoot around here? So yeah, that about sums up my feelings on black and white in general, and monochrome photography. Actually, let's go over there. We might make it back to the temple. There's a big famous temple over there, and I was thinking to go there, but I'm sort of like, I don't know, gravitating away from it because there's a cool little underpass over here by the train tracks, which I like to shoot in sometimes. You know, so I think something people encounter, and I know I did in the beginning, is I'm shooting black and white sometimes, and sometimes I'm shooting color, and I'm going kind of photo by photo because like this photo looks better in color, so it's in color. This photo looks better in black and white, so it's in black and white. But then when you put them all together, let's say it's like, okay, these are my Tokyo street photo collection or set of street photos, then it just feels sort of random. Like why this photo or that photo? Let's get this lady here. Nice. So that was an early realization, is that like, well, if I want to create like a body of work, right? A collection of photos that work together, then maybe it's not really advantageous to kind of mix styles or mix mediums, so to speak. Maybe it should, if I'm going to shoot monochrome, it's all monochrome, and color, all color. And that's when I kind of chose, you know what, I'm just going to do color. And you see, but a scene like this, on the other hand, I like it in monochrome because it's kind of messy in color. There's all these weird colors that don't go together, but in monochrome it just works. And then again, it works well with these old girders and all this stuff. These old infrastructure that dates back probably to like the 50s or 60s, maybe even. So I think a big question, more important than the question of, oh, should I shoot black and white or should I shoot in color or whatever, or should I use this, like some cameras let you do like positive film simulation or other films, whatever. More important than choosing that, I think we need to ask ourselves, like, what is my body of work? What am I trying to achieve in aggregate, not just individual shots, right? Not just what works for this shot or that shot. And so to that end, at some point, I don't know when, I started to think more about like individual projects, right? Where like this set of photos that are tackling this particular subject or story are going to be shot in this particular style, but I'm going to use a different style somewhere else. Now, I've never done a project in monochrome, but the closest thing I've done is we've done a video about these photos, but I call them skylight. It's like the photos where I'm shooting up. I'll probably show some right now on the screen. I'm shooting up from the narrow passages in Ginza and other parts of Tokyo, and it's this very kind of gritty, mechanical, almost kind of cyberpunk sort of look. And I don't shoot them in black and white, I shoot them in color, but they are very monochromatic scenes in general. Let's go this way. And so when I edit them, I emphasize that monochromatic look to them, right? And that's for that series. And then I have other series that are much more colorful and so on. And so I think about this kind of stuff that way, and I've never really felt the need for anything that I'm shooting. It's never come up to me, for me, where I felt like, for this set of photos, I'm going to shoot monochrome because whatever reason. It's never really clicked for me like that. I've never had a reason to shoot something in monochrome until today, because you guys requested it. Okay, let's shoot maybe over here a little bit. Man, I love this old building, but the ground floor is not that interesting. Just love these old windows here. Shoot it from here like this. Whew. And I also love this wall. This is amazing, this whole wall. Holy crap. This is just absolutely fantastic. So much going on here. So gritty and messy. And you see, this looks great in monochrome. I think this would look great in color too. I mean, it does when I look at it with my eye. Anybody cool going by? No. I'm gonna do a vertical one too. Ooh, there's a bit of sun over there. Can we make that work in a cool way? Let's do F11 and do a nice little... This scene is not interesting. It wasn't too bad actually with those people down there. But the light was fantastic. Sometimes you just gotta shoot the beautiful light. Wow, cool. And this is a case where I think the monochrome's working really well. It just kind of works with this. And that actually brings me to kind of the bigger dilemma, which eventually I'm encountering now, I guess, after doing photography for quite a long time and amassing a huge amount of photos. A lot of different things I'm interested in. There's this project, there's that project. And a lot of them don't necessarily go anywhere big. Like they're not going to ever end up as like a book or something. I don't know. They're just a collections of photos that I find work. Like for example, again, those of you who've followed this channel for a while, you see sometimes I stop and photograph cool looking bicycles. So I have like a few hundred photos of I think, really nice bikes and nice scenes and whatever. And I shoot them with a particular way. They're in color, of course, but I always shoot them from the side. There's a very specific like set of rules for how I shoot this series. I don't know if I'm ever going to do anything with it. So it's kind of, it's a little kind of a challenge, like a mental challenge to like, how does all this stuff fit together? Like if I'm taking the time to do these bike photos or some other photos, what is that, like how does that fit in with say street photography or some other kind of photography that I'm doing or whatever? And that's where I'm really trying to like kind of put it all together in my mind. And I wonder if you guys struggle with this too. If you please mention in the comments, like how do you think of the whole collection, the whole totality of everything that you're doing in terms of creative output, whether it's photography or something else, if you do something else? Because I think that's the dilemma I'm facing these days. The fact that I have thousands of photos, but I'm not exactly sure how they all fit together. It's almost like I've created too much work. It's just like, how do you reconcile all these different creative pursuits? And like, I feel like I'm just on my own getting pulled in different directions when it comes to my creative output, right? Whether I'm photographing this or that or whatever, I'm going in different directions. Sometimes like multiple directions at once. There's only so many hours in the day and so much brain space to think about all this stuff, right? But one way I kind of reconcile it or, arrange all this stuff in my mind is that, ultimately, and I've said this before, I think photography and art in general, I think, but certainly photography, it's a journey. It's a journey where you discover more about yourself and also the world, but more about yourself, where you figure out certain things. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of how I think about it. I try not to limit myself and say, hey, I'm not going to shoot this thing because I'm supposed to be shooting that thing. And instead I just kind of go with the flow and shoot whatever feels good in the moment. But it does result in like just piles and piles of photos that I don't know what to do with them. And then it's going to be the same from today. There's going to be all these black and white photos. This is why I am keeping it in RAW as well, so that I do have the RAWs and could make it back to color. Because I don't know what I'm going to do with these black and white photos. There needs to be some like purpose or reason for shooting in black and white for me. Although it is fun. Like I'm having fun playing around with it today because it's something different. And to bring it back to that point again is that it's really cool to see the black and white in the viewfinder as I'm composing, because it allows me to just completely ignore the colors mentally, not just visually after the photo is taken. You see like this scene here, the pinks here are so like vivid and bright. And then, ooh, there's a great composition though. Well, not to toot my own horn here, but feels great with the eaves of the temple above. I can see the temple and the thing. And yeah, I mean, maybe in monochrome this is better because of the way the colors work there. All right, that was not bad. That was, had to be patient there, but in the end we got a good moment. I was waiting for the people to go, and then I liked when I was trying to time it when he was like loading the Castella batter into the little like waffle maker thing that they have there. This place. Yeah. This is crazy. I've never seen this before. What is this? Karumeyaki. Do you know karumeyaki? Wow. This is like bread. Wow. Shall I try a karumeyaki? すいません、これは何ですか？パンですか？
砂糖でできた
うん。
お菓子、クッキー。
クッキーみたい。
クッキーみたいな。
甘いです。
甘いさ。
へえ。じゃあ、1個できない
1個できる。
じゃあ、
1個
そう
300円。
500円お願いします。そう500円で2個ですね。はい。
すぐ食べる。
すぐ食べる。すぐ食べるでしょ？はい。お、500円ですね。
ありがとうございます。
します。OK。ありがとう。わあ。すいません。 面白いです。見たことない。初めて。伝統的ですか？ああ、そうですか。ああ、すごい。Beautiful. ありがとうございます。All right, so we're gonna have a little snack. Axel, you want one, right? Axel's gonna have one too. I don't know how you're gonna do this with one hand. Here, hold on. I'll unwrap this one for you. There we go. Push it out a little bit. All right, guys. Too bad we're not doing this part in color on video, but oh well. But maybe it'll be on my Instagram or something eventually. You can see the color photos if I decide to edit the color. There you go. That's for you, Axel. And then I'm gonna have one. Rip it open, I guess. Wow. Wow. It's a cookie. As she said. There's a bread. She's like, it's like a sweet cookie thing. And it makes sense what we saw, we showed it. But he's like caramelizing sugar to create this. So this is like pure sugar basically. Which honestly sounds horrifyingly unhealthy. Let's go over here. Axel, what do you think? What do you think, man?
We have something similar in France.
Yeah?
I've got the word for it. Well, you must know this word too. I think in the English language it's the same one.
Like a meringue?
Yes.
It's like a meringue, right?
That's what it is.
Yeah. It is like a meringue, yeah, it's true. It's like a giant meringue.
It's
It's,
same taste.
it's a little different though. Meringue is more like soft, like kind of tender. It's crunchy, but this is like really crunchy.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get that crunchy sound on the mic here. Here we go. They're very like powdery. Wow. I don't know if I can finish this. It's extremely sweet. Wow. Okay, one more bite. Maybe the pigeons like it. So also the pagoda here, which looks awesome. This looks really striking in monochrome. I like it. It looks great in color too, but there's something very impactful about just the simplicity of no colors here. So, whew, man, that jolt of sugar really did it. I feel weird now. I feel a little bit like clearly hyped up a little bit on the sweet stuff. I don't usually eat such sweet things. It's a little extreme for me. That's why we couldn't finish it. Yeah, I love this sound. This is, people here are, they're, you pay a little bit of money, you shake this box, you get a stick out of it, and then the stick has like a number or whatever written on it, you open the drawer, and then there's a fortune in there. So it's a way to do your fortune. Oh, these girls look great here. I don't even know if that's better in color or not. Who knows? Whole bunch of street photographers lingering around. This is like a hot spot. I don't myself come here very often anymore. A little bit, I admit, this idea of been there, done that, but also like, I like more gritty environments than this, whatever. This guy's cool. He's got an awesome blue kimono. And see, this is a case where the lack of color hurts the scene a little bit because you don't see the beautiful blue of this kimono he's wearing. Okay, very nice. And then of course people here are kind of purifying themselves with the smoke. And see, this is a case where, look at that. The guy on the right here is wearing this bright orange jacket. And that doesn't look good. But in black and white, it's no problem. Let's see if we can get a nice person in there. Oh, these guys, great. Look at that. Oh, that's nice. And see, this in this case, like, one thing I struggle with when I shoot here, whenever I've shot here before, is, like I was just saying, there's a lot of colors, a lot going on. There's people wearing blue. There's a guy in like a crazy Adidas sports jacket in the background. And that doesn't look good, but because it's in monochrome, it's just simpler. It's easier. It's just I can emphasize the people that are there, and then the other people all kind of blend together. They create a texture rather than any one thing that pops out and distracts. But this is, again, going back to the earlier conversation. Let's go around it here. And talking about everything I covered already in this video. that's not really like, to me, a reason to shoot monochrome. That's just like a cheat almost. Like, yeah, I'll just make it simpler because it looks better. But I'm not actually like I'm not making a creative decision for the sake of a project. You know, for the sake of doing a particular body of work, right? These two girls here on the stairs look great. Oh, this guy's doing a video of them. Okay, we'll just do a quick one now, leave him alone. I'll probably in the back of his video, sorry, random guy. Wow, look at the light and the smoke here. That's amazing. Yeah, that's beautiful. Wish I had a slightly wider lens because you can also get the pagoda over there. This definitely needs a good moment, good timing. So this definitely works really, really, really well in monochrome, but I think it would work great in color too, just looking at it. It's hard to look at with my eye though because the sun there's so much glare. Oh, here we go. And you know, I don't want to blind myself. Through the viewfinder, it's fine though. That's one benefit of mirrorless that I realized. It didn't occur to me that this would be a benefit when I got into mirrorless. But you know, when you're looking at with an SLR through the lens into the sun like this, you're just basically blinding yourself, and that's not good. But with this camera, I mean, the worst that I'm going to do is I'm going to destroy the sensor, which would suck. But better than destroying my eye, right? So I can safely look into the sun through the lens this way or through the camera. I'm looking over there, but I'm not looking directly in the light. But the light here is gorgeous. Look at that. Wow. Absolutely beautiful from here. But I need a good subject. Oh, this is fantastic though. Beautiful. Wow, this is awesome. I just really want someone in a kimono like we saw earlier. No kimono people coming. Here we go. And so you can see, I should talk about a little about the the cultural thing here. You can see how people are like fanning the smoke onto themselves, right? That's a kind of a way of purifying and blessing oneself. Man, the light here is amazing. I just can't get enough of it. We gotta go around there. I'm gonna be in the pot in a minute, inside the ash, like bathing in it. All right, guys, so, you know, we could spend all day shooting in Asakusa. I'd love to explore it more, but we've already been rolling for quite a while. I think we'll wrap it up here. I feel like I've said everything I wanted to say on this topic. I'm sure later I'll remember something, and that always happens, but it probably isn't important. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. A little bit of exploration in Asakusa. I feel like we got some great photos, which I'm always, you know, that's always important if I get at least one or two good shots. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments, of course, tell me how you think about all this stuff. Do you guys have this dilemma of like too many disparate projects that don't really fit together or not? I don't know. Tell me what you think about shooting in monochrome versus color. Do you prefer one or the other? Do you mix them? Do you think it doesn't matter if you mix them? You know, contrary to what I said, where I think it doesn't look good if you mix them. Anyway, let me know in the comments. Let's discuss it. All right? So thank you so much for watching. And remember always, challenge your eye.